We've been talking about a reaction to that explosion in Gaza that cost so many lives at a hospital yesterday, that Israel and the Palestinians accuse each other of triggering that explosion. There has been enormous and deep reaction to that event across the region. I'm now joined by BBC Monitoring Middle East specialist Hesham Shawish. Hesham, thanks very much for joining us. There was almost an immediate reaction, wasn't there? I mean, on social media, as the horrific pictures were coming out of that hospital, as we were hearing the news.
Of course, there was huge reaction right across the region, as you say, on social media and on official media channels. So Pan-Arab Media was airing a press conference following an emergency meeting of Arab UN ambassadors. They were condemning Israel and calling for an emergency UN meeting. And this morning, prominent Arab media outlets have been leading with the aftermath, the desperate humanitarian situation in Gaza. A lot of presenters have been wearing black as well. In terms of media coverage, the Saudi-owned al-Arabi TV channel, Qatar's Al Jazeera channel, and the UAE-based Sky News Arabia, they're the main Pan-Arab channels. They've been airing quite graphic footage of the aftermath, body bags, bodies being recovered, and rescue efforts. And Al-Arabi has been calling it a bloody day, reporting that Gaza is being destroyed, and also reporting that Gaza this morning is under renewed Israeli bombardment. In terms of Israeli media coverage, they've been widely reporting the Israeli army's denial of responsibility. Over the blast, the Israeli army has said that the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, PIJ group, was responsible for what it said was a failed rocket barrage, and the PIJ has denied that. They said via their Telegram channel that Israel was, quote, fabricating lies and trying to evade its responsibility. And the Palestinian militant group Hamas has also accused Israel. In terms of the important regional countries like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the UAE. So neighboring Jordan, which signed a peace deal with Israel in 1994 and is custodian of Jerusalem's Christian and Muslim holy sites, takes a special interest in the situation. Over half of the population there has Palestinian roots. So the media there has dedicated extensive coverage to the situation. Last night's channels were showing large crowds of people trying to break through to the Israeli embassy, police having to push away those crowds. Also in Lebanon, media there was showing large crowds of people outside the US embassy throwing stones and trying to break through. So there's a lot of anger being expressed across the region. This was on the eve of President Biden's visit. The UAE, which is a very important country and which normalized ties. Sure. Go ahead, Katja.
No, as you were saying, I mean, it is interesting, isn't it, that before that attack by armed Palestinian groups into Israel, in which they massacred 1,400 Israelis and took 200 people hostage, including the elderly and young children, and Israel's reaction after that, its bombardment of the Gaza Strip. There had been talk of normalizing relations, hadn't there, between Saudi Arabia and Israel, which was, hotly discussed in the Middle East. And there have been divisions between countries in the region as to what relations they could or should have with Israel. In reaction, though, to what we saw, the explosion at the hospital, and generally over the last days, and the humanitarian situation in Gaza, there doesn't seem to be that division at the moment.
That's right. I mean, in terms of Saudi media, this morning, they've been reporting on the humanitarian situation in Gaza. The response from Saudi media has been a lot more muted than other channels like Al Jazeera and Sky News Arabia. So one of the most prominent newspapers, Al-Sharq al-Awsat, is based in London, has been instead quoting official reaction. So it's been leading this morning with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's suggestion that Palestinians seeking safety be transferred to the Negev desert instead of the Sinai. He said that the transfer of Palestinians to the Sinai desert would just transfer the the conflict there. So it's been, Saudi outlets, from what I've observed, have been airing official reaction and the humanitarian situation in Gaza more than condemning Israel for its actions, for the airstrikes in the Gaza Strip. So there's been quite a varied media coverage around the region.
Although concerted concern for the humanitarian situation, as you say, Hesham. And what about reaction and expectation for the visit by US President Joe Biden to the region? Of course, at the moment he's in Israel, but he had been planning a summit then in Amman in Jordan with Arab leaders, which was then cancelled because of the explosion in the Gaza hospital yesterday.
That's right. I mean, from what I've noticed, there has been fairly low coverage of the visit. The media, regional media, have still been very, very preoccupied with the humanitarian situation and the aftermath of the blast, but they have been relaying the cancellation by Jordan of the planned meeting, which was supposed to be attended by the Egyptian president and the Palestinian president, Mahmoud Abbas. And the agenda there was supposed to be focused on the humanitarian situation and getting humanitarian assistance into Gaza. So we've seen quite a strongly worded statement being issued by the Jordanian Foreign Ministry. They said that the meeting would be held when the parties can agree to, quote, end the war and the massacres against Palestinians. And it's blamed Israel for its military campaign and for what it said, pushing the region to the brink of the abyss. So we're seeing a very tense diplomatic situation, and that's despite the shuttle diplomacy that we saw by the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, earlier this week.
Very tense, and we're going to continue, of course, here on BBC News to talk about those tensions. Hesham Shawish from BBC Monitoring for now. Thank you very much.